All right, everybody, thank you all so much for coming today. My name is Ashley Owens. I am a networking concierge. We're going to get started right on the dot because your time is valuable. My job is I actually go to events on behalf of individuals and companies. So my job is I go to conferences either with them or as an extension of them. So all of my introverts, hey, I'm your extroverted best friend. But I am here to talk about tactical and practical networking. You all know exactly how to network because you're here, okay? Networking is a human-to-human interaction. It's one of those things where it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. It's how you educate and talk to people and communicate with them, right? So has anybody ever done emotional intelligence assessments? Yes, okay, what have you done, Heather? Okay, but you're like, I know myself enough to, cool. Oh, the color wheel, gotcha, cool. And what about you, darling? EQ, okay, very nice. Anybody else? I might do DISC. Yeah, DISC, yeah. What are you in DISC? Does anybody come prepared? I mean, the little, you're like, I'm either D, I, S, or C, right? Okay. What about you? Do you know? You're D? Clearly. High D, low what? That's it? Just super D? That's awesome. And what is your position? Okay, and so in that, so I'm not familiar, I apologize, with the parking world because I, again, talk about networking to people, but tell me more, what's the position that you're in? So I know, is it director, VP, is it president, like what's the, oh, clear, okay, so you handle the money. Okay, awesome. Anybody else want to share? Anybody else do a DISC assessment or personality assessment? Yes, oh, sorry, did you nod your head? You're like, I don't want to be talked to? Okay, cool. You've done DISC, yeah? And what are you in DISC? Okay, I can't with all of you. All right, so what I'm going to be talking about today is truly making and identifying the best way to network based off of you. How to customize your networking activity based off of you, because again, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. But before we begin, I know I kind of did a little bit before we started, but let's go into more about me, because I need attention. So I'm originally from North Jersey. I'm a fast talker. I apologize so much. Just give me the notes and we'll make it slower. We have the best bagels. I can't find a goddamn bagel in Dallas. Anybody want to give me a referral? Because I can't find a bagel. Next, I was previously a celebrity personal assistant. So before anybody asks who that is, there's a lot of therapy bills that come with that. I was in New York City. I've competed in CrossFit competitions. I still add that because I was cool for like 2015 to 16. I could deadlift 225, but honestly, I can barely lift an iPod now because I haven't done it in a while. And I came in 31st place out of 34, which means I didn't die. Karaoke champ 2016 and 2022, thank you very much, which just means I outlasted all the drunk people. I've been in 12 movies as an extra. I was on a couple different TV shows back when I was in my 20s, and the only cool skill that I learned from that was I could sleep anywhere. So I could lay on a flat surface, pass out for a couple hours because you're there from 8 to 10 hours a day, and you need your rest. And then I once ate a Carolina Reaper. Does anybody know what a Carolina Reaper is? Okay, well, who wants to tell the class what a Carolina Reaper is? Go ahead. It's a what? It's louder for the people in the back. It's a stupid life decision. That's what that is. Really hot pepper. Tequila was involved. So, you know how that goes. But yeah, these are just some fun facts about me. So when we talk about networking, we talk about not necessarily what you do, but who you are and how you make the other person feel. My job today is not to educate you on you. My job is to educate you on the activity that helps make your brand better than you ever could imagine. So as we continue to go through, let's do a little bit of a poll. 1 out of 10, who here hates networking? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressful is networking? Oh my God, it's not that early. You'll have coffee. Oh, you can just yell at this point. It's a party. It's not stressful. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, so you're an introverted extrovert? Fantastic. And who raised their hand? Did you raise your hand? Nope, you're like, I hate. 0? So you hate networking. Would you, if that's okay, can I ask you another question? Okay, why? There's no wrong answer here. Is it people? I hate people too. So is it, totally. Yeah, there's a confidence thing, but there's like, am I gonna sound stupid? Do I know what I'm talking about? Like a little bit of an imposter syndrome there? Totally. Do you ever usually bring a buddy with you when you go to do networking, if you ever? You're like, I have a panic attack in the parking lot. I'm not going places. That's good. Well, that's a buddy. Yeah. Welcome, Miss Tiffany, to my session. Nice and late. I'm just kidding. Thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate that. Who else? On a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is bad. Based off of we're going to go off of yours. Yeah, a 0. Not stressful, yeah. Usually I switch it, but we're going to go with your it's fine. What? We'll make it work. We're just going to keep it rolling. We got it covered. So what is yours, darling? Okay, very cool. What challenges do you typically have, if any? Follow up, finding out where to go, meeting the right people.
I think maybe it's follow afterwards.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, right? It's annoying. Yeah. Yeah.
We networking pretty well at times.
Sure.
Not a whole lot of after.
The after-act stuff, yeah. It's the follow-up is usually the hardest thing because it's like between 9 and 11 times you got to do a touch point, right? And one more person who, you had mentioned something. You started talking.
I don't feel like I'm good at it. I'm like not good at small talk. Like I'm good for about 5 minutes and then.
How long do you think small talk needs to take?
I don't know.
45-minute therapy session? I get
And
it.
then I'm always so bad at like that I don't remember people's names.
Okay. It's not a whole thing. It's a very common thing, and you're not the only one that feels that way. Thank you very much for sharing. Thank you both very much for sharing. One more. Who here is a master at networking? You're Mr. D, and the 2 of you. Go ahead. You're like, I'm the best at everything. Cool. Tell me, I'm just kidding. Tell me why, and I'm going to ask you next as well because you looked at me in the eyeballs, and so now I'm going to call on you. What?
I was taking the master right there.
Who's the master, Miss Rachel? She's just like, I'm here hanging out, just turn around. That's Rachel. She hired me to do this event today, so we're just going to ignore this chaotic woman over here. Tell me more about your networking experiences.
You just have to be with yourself out.
Sure.
Everybody makes mistakes and has some conversation.
Yeah.
Usually you can find some commonality in that situation, and sometimes you can just laugh at each other. That's
Sure.
how it works. You know somebody's name, follow up a little bit, good to go.
Keep it moving. So do you think systems, especially since you're in accounting, right? Is that correct? Well, excuse me, finance, not accounting. Do you think systems are a big part of that for you?
Yes.
Okay. Who here also thinks that if you have a system, you think you can network a little bit better or worse? Yeah, systems are better. Who goes off of strictly feeling, which is, there's nothing wrong with it, I'm asking. Feeling? Can you tell me why?
I think it's just because I feed off of other people's energy and
Yeah.
flow with the conversation. That's just kind of what I've done in previous careers and training, kind of flowing with the conversation, not taking the fact that it doesn't need to go.
Fantastic. Okay, so a little bit of feeling, but then there's also for you, I'm assuming follow-up because you've networked a lot. Yeah. Okay, so bringing your intuition with the process makes the networking component a lot easier. Is that correct? Kind of we're all on the similar pages? Okay, cool. Let's keep it moving. So here's the reality. We're going to talk very simply about the reality of networking. So for my beautiful, wonderful introverts and my chaotic extroverts, let's really break it down to the very, very simple fact that you have to build a group of champions to become your army. Who do you add into that army is completely up to you, but we're going to set some boundaries first. The first is only people who genuinely care are going to talk to you and not at you, like an Italian mother during Christmas time asking when you're going to have kids. The next is only people who genuinely care are going to want to help you anyway. They're going to want to give you an idea. They're going to want to help you with a referral. They're going to want to give you an introduction. They're going to want to go in and have a conversation with you about how to help build your business. They're going to want to help you. Okay? The next is only people who genuinely care are going to ask you for realistic favors. They're not going to pick up the phone and say, hey, Carl, can you put $5,000 down on this sponsorship that I think you would enjoy participating in? They're not going to ask you for they're not going to ask you for unrealistic favors. They're going to say, would you mind sharing this article that I wrote? Would you mind making this intro? Here's the 3-sentence paragraph that you can copy and paste. But if you think about a network, if they do not hit these 3 basic characteristics, they don't belong in your network. So if they don't pass this test here, they don't belong in your network. So when we think about a network, we think about how many people we have in our network, right? So we're going to do a quick poll here. How many people do you think you can maintain and have social interactions with in your life? Do not answer. You've seen this presentation before. Question is on the screen, big letters right there. What is the maximum number of people we can maintain relationships and have social interactions with?
Any given time?
In your entire life, so people can come in and out. You're like, oh God, I hate 4 people. No, there's a theory behind it, but I appreciate your participation. Right, understood, okay? In your professional, meaningful relationships. If you could guess, keep it going, keep it going.
50?
Keep going.
100?
150, what is your first name? You're a lovely participant, I'm sorry? Brian, nice to meet you, Brian. So it's 150 people max in your life. Now, this is what your brain can handle and manage. So people will come in and out of this. This is based off of Robin Dunbar's theory that you have 1,500 people that you can recognize, 150 meaningful contacts, 15 good friends, 5 main people in your life, like in your closest circles, and again 1,500 and I think about 3,000 people that are acquaintances. So when you think about the people in your life, you do not want to exceed 150. It's really, really important not to exceed that because your brain can't manage it. Your bandwidth cannot manage it. Now, I don't care if you've got 25 people on your list or 150. Don't exceed 150. Okay? Cool. Next, story time. Does everybody know, and you guys may not know, and I apologize, Paul Revere? Everyone knows who Paul Revere is? This is like 11th grade history. Okay. Everyone knows who William Dowes is? Not really, right? William Dowes is a little bit different. So Paul Revere. He rode from Boston in 1775. He sounded the alarm for the Revolutionary War. He rode north and raised a militia. William Dowes did the exact same thing, except he rode south. Doesn't matter what direction he rode into. What matters is that the reason why history remembers Paul Revere is because Paul Revere was an information broker. An information broker is someone who connects unrelated groups of people. And so that's why his message was well received, because when you go in and you talk to the right people, your message then spreads wildly and quickly. So because William Dowes does not know which doors to knock down in that small town, his message didn't get out well. So take this into consideration with your businesses, with your skill sets, with your network. If you do not connect your message to the right people, you will fall into obscurity just like William Dowes. So that's why building relationships and 150 people in your network is very, very important. Does anybody have any questions on that? You're like, I don't even like 5 people in my circles. All right, so here's the direct. Now again, I talked about being tactical and very, very transparent with you today. You are going to get all of the resources I talk about today, including the direct SOP for building up your network and also helping you network internally with your organizations. Here's the direct SOP. Okay. Who here has a CRM for yourself, not your company? Nobody? That's okay. So don't raise your hand, Jared. I see you over there. Get out of here. I know you do, because I taught you a couple years ago. All right, so the CRM is going to be based off of something very simple. Something called the A and the B team, okay? You take an Excel file. Here's what you do. Take an Excel file. You grab all of the industry names from LinkedIn, so all of the company industries that will associate with the company. There's a full list of that on Google. You grab the whole list of industry names, throw it into one column. Then what you do is you just eyesight every single line and think of, who do you think of when you hit marketing? Who do you think of when you think advertising? Who do you think of when you think aerospace? Because they've already subconsciously stayed in your mind. So you put their names associated with those industry names, okay? That's your first pass, that's a quick exercise. Then take a look to see who's open and available, like what industry names are open and available, and then go to LinkedIn and start searching in that industry and see who comes up under connections. If you smile when you see their name, they belong on that list. Your A team are the people that you can name without going to LinkedIn. Your B team are the people that you can name through LinkedIn, being able to associate that, okay? So the A team are the people that you know, you like, and you trust, and the B team are the people that you know and you like. and eventually they'll get brought over to the A team, okay? So that's the first method. Now, the goal is that, again, you don't want to go over 150, but also you want to take a look at your list. Is it 50% marketing? Is it 30% accounting? Take a look to see who you surround yourself well with the most. This is going to give you a better understanding of who's in your network. The next is something called the E3 method, okay? The E3 method is not coined by me. I stole it from somebody else, but it's very, very prevalent, and I use it every day. The E3 method is extract, educate, and entertain. So now that you've got your A and your B team, you're gonna go onto LinkedIn, and when you post something, you're gonna do it and break it out this way, every single day. E3 method is extract a story, educate on the lessons learned from that story, and be a little crazy and entertaining at the same time. So you're putting in your personality into these posts. The reason why you post every day about something that either happened in your life, in your professional life, with the people that are on LinkedIn that you are very closely connected with, is that now you can then connect, collaborate, and celebrate with your network on LinkedIn. So you're connecting with people, probably your B team, because you're trying to build up a better relationship with them. You are collaborating. You are probably tagging them in this post using the E3 method. And you are celebrating them in some form or fashion, maybe sharing their post, maybe congratulating them on something. So the theme of the post is broken out into these 3 parts. The next is what to do with those 3 parts is that you then connect, collaborate, or celebrate, and then you post that on LinkedIn. Does anybody like me to repeat that? Okay, repeat that, okay. So, E3 method, extract, educate, entertain. That is what you post on LinkedIn. So you take a story, so for example, anybody here use ChatGPT? Okay, yeah, you're like, I use it for my papers all the time. Yeah, so ChatGPT is a fantastic way to put a lot of social media out. It is an AI tool that allows to generate a lot of good content. Again, you use it as a resource and as a tool, not as an end-all to be-all type thing, okay? So take a story. So today, let's say I walked here on the way to the hotel, and I saw a bird. And a bird, to me, is symbolizing my grandma. So, hey, Nina, how's it going? And so then I kind of reflect on, okay, my grandmother and being a matriarch in the family was very, very important to me growing up. How has that shaped my life? How has that brought me to where I am today? So I'm extracting a story. I was just walking down the street, seeing a bird, and then being able to transition it into a story that I think could be a lesson learned. And then entertaining of like, oh, great, you know what? Today I'm actually gonna wear her ring, because why not? Make it work. And that is entertaining on the idea of literally walking down the street and seeing a bird. Okay? That in itself is a lesson learned. You throw those ideas into ChatGPT and it collaborates all of those elements into a post and then adjusts it to make it sound like you. You can do that every day for an entire week. Oh, ChatGPT. ChatGPT. It's on openai.com. Open.ai, excuse me, open.ai. Now that you've got this post going, you're going to utilize it and try to either tag somebody that's on your B team to connect more with them, to celebrate them in some way, or to collaborate in some way. Okay, the next part of this is something called the $80 method. Does everybody here know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, Gary V? Yes, we know mostly who Gary V. Okay, so this is coming from Gary V. Here's what you do. Gary V used this methodology for Instagram. The $80 method is looking up the top 10 hashtags in your industry that are prominent and relevant, and you're commenting something thoughtful on those very interactive posts. The reason why you do that every day, now the goal is, it says it's a $80 method, so you're putting your 2 cents on there. So every day, according to the theory, it should be 80 times that you are commenting. Don't freak out, you don't have to do 80 times. Do 20, do 10, do something. But the method is you're going to those relevant hashtags and you're commenting thoughtfully on them. From there, you are starting conversations and looking at the engagement that you're getting, and you're reaching out to those individuals that are hit on 3 different areas. Either they're strategic partners, they're subject matter experts, or they're in your current network. So the way that this works is you do the activity of commenting on other people's stuff, but being very strategic about it, using the $80 method, and then you're opening the door for a 15-minute introduction phone call based off of the interaction that they have. They're gonna see your posts every day, and this is how you network online. This is how I built my business 6 years ago. I didn't go to every single event. I went to most, but I did most of this. During the pandemic, my network grew exponentially to international people that I'm now gonna be collaborating with. The goal with this is that I'm trying to be very, very specific. My wonderful introverts, you do not have to go to every single event. You can do this methodology and have one-on-one conversations, which, let's be frank, you're better at networking than we are, because you're very intentional about who you talk to. You're very intentional about the conversation that you're having, and you're very, very intentional about who you let in your circles, which means your 150 people are gonna be a strong 150 people. So, as we continue to moving forward, anybody have any questions on that? You're all gonna get this information afterwards as well. Any questions? Nope, okay, cool. So we're talking about building an army, right? So you've built an audience, I built an army. When you're building an army of people, you are building people that will advocate for you when you're not in the room. You want them to work for you outside of just the pleasantries that you're working through. The goal is that if you can have an army of people that will fight for you, you have to be able to fight for them tenfold before you can even begin to think that they would fight for you. So the goal is how do you build an army to advocate using the E3 method? Getting on phone calls with your A and your B team quarterly is going to maintain these relationships. So when you switch jobs, when you are going into a leadership position and you need a mentor, when you're looking about, when you're looking to hire somebody outside of your circles, who do you go to? Your network. Here's how my network saved my life. So I got divorced in 2019. And I am Irish Catholic, so you keep that stuff really close to the chest, right? You kind of just build it there just until you stroke out. And I was a very compliant person before I started my business. And so when I started the business and I ended up getting divorced, I was getting off of his insurance, right? So I needed a referral for healthcare to have my own independent insurance. And so at the very baseline of my entire existence, I wanted to do everything myself. And so it was the first time I tried to ask for help, as much as most of you will do. You will give a lot of help, but you won't ask for it, right? So I bit the bullet and I opened up my email and I grabbed about 60 people that I knew that were attached to a mailing list, specifically around a virtual event that I was doing through the pandemic. I sent out an email, and none of them knew, or so I thought, that I had gotten divorced. And I said, hey, could anybody introduce me to somebody who does insurance for self-employed professionals? And when I tell you within 10 minutes, I had 7 phone calls, 14 text messages, 13 emails, all with direct contacts of who could help me, and then the added bonus of saying, what do you need? How can we help you? Ash, you won't be homeless. You've got a place here, you got whatever you need, what do you need? And when you think about the people in your life, when you have to have those vulnerable moments, when you think about people who are in environments where they just want to be human, I challenge you to just be human in these moments. Because if I did not send that email to people that I know I liked and I trusted, there's no way I'd be here today. Because they would not let me fail. And that is building an army. So, when you think about your network, stop trying to be transactional. Nobody's buying in a world where we're all trying to sell. What they're doing is they're checking your vibe out. They're trying to figure out if you're cool to sit with at the coffee table. They're trying to figure out if they're cool to chat with and to bring a different perspective. But there are too many instances where I've seen from my network and other professionals that I have the privilege of knowing that they have changed perspective, a change of perspective of someone that changed the trajectory of their life. I can map out 7 different individuals that have done that. Imagine you have that power to do. So when you think about a network, don't think about people that are just there to help you when you need it. Think about a network that will never let you fail. So we talked about who you're networking with, right? I talked a little bit about this, but this is strategic partners, right? Everyone knows who a strategic partner is. It's like people you can share clients with. For those of you who don't know, let's kind of give you an example. They're not sponsored, so I'm going to put this over here. Strategic partners are, I know, this is bad. Strategic partners are people that you can share clients with. So a real estate agent and a divorce lawyer are fantastic strategic partners. Does anybody know why? Because when you're divorced, you're either upsizing or downgrading, and so you're able to share those clients. So when you're thinking about the people in your network and you're thinking about partnerships, think about who you can share clients with. At what point in their customer journey do they need to go through? This is also internal as well. If you think about who they have to go to before they get to you, and also after, those are the people that you want to network with. So take 30 seconds. I know you all have your phones or you're writing stuff down. Think of 5 industry names that you could network well with. Take 30 seconds. Just 5 industry names. Go ahead. Thank you. Who wants to share? I'm an adjunct instructor at Temple University. We can do homework assignments all day. Who wants to share? Yes, hi.
So, parking, security, law enforcement, academics.
Fantastic. Love it. And so are you actively networking, I'm assuming, with those people? Okay. Tell me more. Tell me more about where you're going.
I'm trying to collaborate everything together. So I was in local and federal law enforcement, worked in the NFL for a while.
Nice.
Now I'm parking at university.
What university?
University.
Lovely. Very nice. And so who else? Who else has a couple industries they can talk about? You're all on high. You're looking directly in the eyeballs. Do you hate it? That's cool. That's okay. Can anybody help her out? What part? Tell me more about what you do. Okay. Who wants to help her out? What kind of vendors? Okay. Keep going. That's awesome. Anybody else want to help her out? What's that? Architects? Commercial real estate? Okay. Concrete? Anybody here in any of those industries? Well, now you know. So when you come to conferences like this, look at the speakers, look at the sponsors, look at the vendors, and that's who you network with. Imagine having a plan when you come to conferences. Most don't, and that's okay, because you're not really sure who to network with, but that's a good place to start. Who else wants to share? One more. Rachel, help me 5 people, please. Industry, do you think of?
Mobility, well, this is where I'm looking to go.
Okay.
New mobility providers that we don't know already. Other lead APs and architects who do sustainable building, because we're doing more around Park Smart. So it's easy to kind of tick the boxes.
Sure.
And frankly, other high-powered women that can help us drive our network.
Yeah.
It's not just women, it's the men too. I mean,
Yeah.
wonderful context here, but I heard a little bit of hesitancy to be more out there, and I can be out there, and I want to help other people be out there. So that inspires me. That's more of a personal thing. That's what life.
Fantastic.
But for the young lady there, you know what I mean. You want to really hit the expo floor and talk to, figure out who's not competitive to you, and see, you know what I mean, what you can learn about their systems, how they integrate with yours. It's not a direct sell. It's somebody else who can help you, and this crew is very willing to help. So don't go to direct competitor, obviously. Use the app, figure out who they are, figure out their name, look at their picture, go to their LinkedIn, go wait at the booth, kind of, not creepy but
Make it weird.
You know what I mean?
Make it weird.
Whatever, people are very friendly at the booth, they'll be like, oh, I was looking for Chad, is he around, I wanted to meet him. Right?
Yep.
And if you have the app, you have the pictures, you have LinkedIn, if you go in with a little prep, it's a little easier.
It's the only way I go into conferences now, especially with the ones that my clients send me to, is I only prep. I got to look at the speakers, the sponsors, and the vendors, and then I plan out my day so that way, bandwidth-wise, even though I'm an extrovert, I get tired. The 2,500 people last night at that event, I was like, I am wet. I am just sweating, and it was just too much. It was even too much for me, meaning it was a great time, but I had to remove myself for a hot minute to talk to other individuals that made sense and chat with you and get to see you and the whole 9. So it doesn't matter how you network, it matters why you network. And so if you have a plan going into these events, your life is gonna be so much easier and you won't be met with such negativity around what you think networking is, like a very transactional thing. Okay, so we talked about building your army. This is the A and the B team. You guys will also get this today. It's a full breakout of LinkedIn industries and then being able to put all of their information in. So if you don't have a CRM, we're gonna create an Excel file so you have a CRM for this week, okay? Next, we talked about the E3 method, extract, educate, and entertain. Does anybody have any questions about this part? I know we had a few people that were kind of a little shaky, but do you understand the value of that? Yeah, cool, let's keep it moving. All right, this is the $80 method. Again, you're gonna look at the top 10 relevant hashtags. You're going to reach out. If you want to get fancier with it, anybody here have a calendar link? Like a Calendly? Okay, so for those of you who don't, a Calendly or any kind of those time calendar links are important because here's how you can track your ROI. When you are going and you are doing the $80 method, the E3 method, and just really going through LinkedIn, when you reach out for an introduction phone call, what you're doing is now you're adding in that calendar link. In the calendar link, you're asking a few questions, which is your name, your company, how did we meet? That calendar link is so important because now you're gonna use the data. When you take and export all of the data from Calendly at the end of every quarter, and you see all of your introduction phone calls are coming from LinkedIn, or they're coming from the conference, or they're coming from that networking event that you went to, or that association that you were a part of, now, instead of spinning your wheels at 14 different events, now what you're doing is you're going into an environment where you know where to spend most of your time. Maybe you're better at LinkedIn, maybe you're better at in-person stuff, but you've got to look at the data to say, okay, I got to customize this for myself. So you do the post, you do the engagement, you open the door for a 15-minute intro call using Calendly, you take that information, and now you can say, I know where I need to go. Okay, if you want to make it even fancier, you can use Zapier to then zap it into different tools, but I won't go too far into that. Okay. Again, Calendly Analytics is just to show you how the data looks, how the data works. This is 2018, okay? These are the data I pulled from 2018. 144 people referred me or introduced me to somebody in their network. I have 2018, okay? I took maybe 400 and something calls, I think, in 2018. It's now above that. Now, the reason why this is good to see is because I was burnt out. I was going to 3 or 4 networking events a week. I was trying to dig into different ideas and figure out the best human behavior responses, and just I was burning myself out because I had a lot to prove. 144 is a fantastic number. It's a lot. I thought my amazing newsletter was crushing it. See that little number? That's one person, maybe, if they got from my newsletter. So when you look at this data, event, LinkedIn, other, these 4 things, other, I forget what other was, but these 4 things, now I can focus all my time and energy on that. I don't have to spend 2.5 hours on a newsletter that nobody cared about. What I spent my time is going in and doing things that worked for me. So that's how you use the data. But to get people on your calendar to figure out how to network with them, you have to do these steps to make sure that they're strategic and specific to who you want to connect with. Because where everybody falls short is that they think a network is supposed to be transactional, a tit for tat. I give you this, or I'm gonna talk to you about your kids. I don't even like your kids. You know, there's so many. It's like, all right, but like, it's the small talk. It's the BS in the front. It's the being able to say, okay, I really cannot stand your face right now, so I'm gonna leave. There's a lot that goes into the human behavior aspect of networking, and for my wonderful 2 ladies that had the pleasure of participating, I've got 11 graceful ways to end a conversation that work 100% of the time. Are you ready? Okay, first one. Sorry, my throat hurts. First one is do you both have children? You both have children? Okay. How old are they? Oh my goodness, lovely. And what about you, darling?
17 and 13.
Oh my gosh. Well, unfortunately, they all have explosive diarrhea. So, if you ever gotta leave, be like, gotta go, I'm so sorry, my kids are just pooping everywhere. You know, use your children. Use your children as an excuse. That's why you had them. I'm just kidding. But use your children as an excuse if you need to, right? That's the first example. That's the funny example. The second example is obviously move. Just shift, go into the restroom, be like, it was such a pleasure meeting you. I'm gonna use the restroom, but I can't wait to see you as we come back out. They're not gonna sit there waiting for you, because that's weird, right? They're not gonna follow you in. But it allows you to move from your space, because a lot of times, my wonderful introverts will sit there and just take it. with a lot of stuff going on. And it's unfortunately harder for you to shift because you feel like you have to give them your full attention because you are better networkers than we are. So that's the first way, is to just move. Just change the location that you're in. Go to the bar or go to the buffet, whatever you can go to with an activity is gonna be a great place to kind of shift. The next is, one of my favorites, is you're gonna go and you're gonna ask them, who else do you think I should meet here? Is there anybody else you think I should meet? Because after you talk to them for that, 5 dreading minutes, you've gotten to know each other enough at that time, I think. And who's the best person to meet here? And that way, they feel that they're building up networking equity with you by presenting somebody else. Oh, you should get to meet this person, and that also helps you have your own professional wingwoman or wingman with you. That's gonna help you get to the next stage. The next is always ask if they are a good connection, but you could talk to this person for 75 hours, like this one right here, you need to leave. You need to leave the conversation, otherwise she's gonna chop your ear off the whole time. The benefit of having good people like this is that they'll be able to, that they understand how to shift the conversation to another location. But for you guys, what's helpful is ask them, I would love to continue this conversation because you and I can talk forever. Can we schedule a meeting next week? Okay? Again, if it works for you, but you're in control of that conversation. Can we, put this on the calendar? Then y'all take out your phones and you don't send them an email. You put it on the goddamn calendar. Y'all have phones. Why are you waiting 72 hours to send out an email? Put it on the calendar. And guess what? Anybody here from the East Coast, we don't like BS. We don't like it. So if you waffle, or if that person waffles, like, oh yeah, maybe, they're full of shit. So that allows you, I'm in Dallas, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The cursing comes out when I get excited. So the benefit though is now you can say, well, I don't need to follow up with this person all the time. I can just put it on my calendar and use that calendar link. You open it up on your phone, just say, do you got time next week? Sure, no problem, make it work. And you keep it moving. So this allows you to work smarter, not harder, so you're not coming back with 500 leads, you're coming back with 15 and they're already booked on the calendar. That's a win, okay? So these are the tools that I use every single day. We just talked about Calendly, LinkedIn, and phone sites. Phone sites is my new favorite thing. It is a digital business card, and the digital business card is helpful because now you can track immediately the ROI. So the digital business card is called, it's phone sites, but then you can also build a landing page. So for example, when you guys scan my QR code to get my, the ebook that I have for all of you, you'll be able to see, to exchange my info. So instead of jumping on a calendar using the calendar link, you can use a digital business card that is actually going to show you an ROI. And if you want to get fancier with it, you can schedule a follow-up email with the resource most people will want. So that way you can have them as a lead, but then you can track who you connected with throughout the entirety of the event. Because efficiency is key in networking, because conferences can be overwhelming. Conferences can absolutely be overwhelming. So how do we build systems to make it work for you, okay? So I'm coming down to my time. We're gonna do some Q&A. Conclusion is, if activity breeds results. There's an ROI with networking when you use the data to track your efforts. Your time is incredibly important. Your time is essential to making everything work. So in order for you to network effectively, to really make sure that you stand out with your own personal brand, with your own businesses, with your own positions in your companies, you gotta have a system in place that works for you. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing, but if you don't do anything, you're not gonna go anywhere. Okay? Awesome. Any questions? There you go, there's your ebook. 72 pages. All the templates, how to have an effective first meeting, how to get out of a conversation, and then all of the templates that I talked about today. I went a little faster than I anticipated. However, I'm here for questions. And if you all want to hang out for a hot minute before you got to go people again. All right, thank you all very much.
Leave it up there.
Yeah, I'm not moving it, yeah. Yeah, we need.
Questions with them, I want you to walk directly up to them and have a personal conversation.
Phone sites, depending on the package you get, I think it's like, at the very high package, it's like $80. At the very high.
That's the one thing that's not free, the other items are.
Yeah. Yeah, Calendly is free. Phone sites honestly, I hated digital business cards forever because I thought it was like, oh, this is trash. And it's the best thing that's ever happened, truly. And once I got to use it and build out a whole system around it, easy breezy. LinkedIn does. This one will allow you to put your phone information in your phone. You can text that person. But yes, absolutely, you have your LinkedIn as well.
What do you think about paring down your LinkedIn network?
It's a good idea. I think every month or every quarter you should go through and purge a bit. It's always good to have some people that you're kind of unsure about, because I've had enough people where I'm like, you know what, I haven't talked to them forever, but my student needs a good connection. And so I usually keep them in there. If I don't even recognize their faces, then it's not a good connection. Yeah. It's like, I'm gonna purge this, yeah. And if someone comes to you, this is my biggest pet peeve, I've got 50,000 LinkedIn connections. I'm like, name 25. Drives me crazy, right? It's just like followers. I'm like, it's too much, can't do it. Please don't get the view vomiting on the thing, okay. Can't wait for that blooper to come in. Any other questions? Who here feel, oh, sorry, you're taking a picture. I thought your hand was raised. Who here feels that they are struggling with confidence?
You mean like imposter syndrome?
Yeah, yes ma'am.
I would not ask them to raise their hand, I would talk.
I know, that's, will you let me get to the next phase of this bit? Thank you. Confidence for me was a very challenging thing. Thank you very much for ruining the bit. I swear to God, Rachel, you're fired. Confidence for me was a very challenging thing. There's a lot of sexism in my industry. I'm sure there's a lot of sexism here. There's a lot of issues with, power hungry everybody on both ends of the spectrum, no matter what. What I found is being able to understand your core values, your 5 core values, is a serious and very passionate and driven activity that you can do for yourself. Because if you follow those 5 core values, whether it's knowledge, service, passion, whatever those 5 values are, you're doing those things every day. And if the people in your network don't align with 3 out of those 5, they don't belong there because they don't serve you like you would serve them. Confidence comes from getting punched in the face a couple times. You're gonna put your foot in your mouth. I once sent out, I'm just gonna continue to tell stories because we got time. I once sent out a public speaking workshop to 4,000 people on my list, to all of my LinkedIn followers, and it was a pubic speaking workshop. And I got more text messages I've ever gotten with just, ha 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 ha. So you're gonna put your foot in your mouth at some point. The goal is that you do not, in corporate, in society, in general, we do so much to mask who we are and who we think we need to be. Not everybody, but most. Authenticity sometimes gets thrown around as like, you should be authentic, you should be authentic. If you haven't been met with positive affirmation that your authenticity is met with kindness, how would you feel, how are you gonna be able to feel authentic? Or feel it's safe to be authentic? When was the last time you all were silly for no reason?
Last night on the ball?
Ma'am, she's got the bruises to prove it, yeah. But to be silly allows you to build deeper connections with other individuals. Being silly allows you to bring down your guard and get out of whatever box you feel like you need to check. Confidence was a huge struggle for me. Women, for me, were the enemy for a very long time, because I had a severe insecurity. I had a severe understanding of my managers were incredibly challenging. But it takes one person to give you that permission to do something. It takes one person to say, I see value in you before you see value in yourself, and those people will save your life. Here's another story. Back in 20-something, I worked for 2 celebrities as a personal assistant in New York City. I left that position and I came back to New Jersey to live with my parents, which I do not implore anybody to do. And I was working as a waitress at a diner in Jersey. I was at my lowest. My then, now ex-husband, but my then boyfriend was in the military, and he was deployed. So I had a lot of emotions. I thought I had failed in that industry. I came back. The love of my life at the time was fighting us. I was, met with all these emotions, and I was working as a waitress after I just worked with celebrities. And so my entire worth felt like I was nothing without what I did. I went over to a table, a group of guys, four professionals, and they were lovely, very kind. And they said, all right, what kind of burger do you think I should get? And if you've all seen me do this presentation, I will do bits as much as I can to make somebody laugh and to also entertain myself while I'm there. They like how I sold them a burger. And so that end of that meal, they came over and they said, hey, would you send us your resume? I said, thanks, guys. Show it in a tip. Have a good day. Didn't think anything of it. The next day, that owner came back and said, hey, Ash, you never gave us your resume. Went up to my boss at the time and said, can you go grab Ashley? Because he was a regular. And he goes, you never gave us your resume. I said, okay. So gave him my resume, and I walked into this interview a week later, and they saw New York Ashley. They didn't see Jersey Diner Ashley, which is a very different human. So I turned on that side of me, and within about 30 minutes, I had a job. I had insurance. I had a salary. They literally plucked me from being a waitress. So at my very lowest, they saw value in me because I was 1,000% authentically myself because I had nothing else to go by. And so them plucking me from being a waitress to put me in a sales position, and within the first 6 months without any guidance, and I'm saying this because a lot of positions will try to micromanage you, without any guidance, I was the highest selling online e-commerce furniture employee there in 6 months. They said, we would just want you to do you, Ash, just do you. And so when I left to go to Philadelphia, I had not met another manager that was like that for about 23 jobs. I had 23 jobs after I graduated college. Never got fired. Mergers, acquisitions, budget cuts. So I have a very big vendetta about working for somebody else now. I got a chip on my shoulder because of that. A lot of therapy. But the goal, what I'm trying to say here is that they gave me an opportunity to be in an environment where I could thrive. A couple years later, I quit my last job. I was working I sold custom software. And the employer, unfortunately, would have a lot of temper tantrums, and he's just a very toxic work environment. And I didn't have a job lined up, which I had for the rest of my life, was always having something lined up because I was always nervous about getting laid off for no reason. And I went to a networking event, and I took a step back, and I was trying to sell custom software a week before, and it felt gross. What they were teaching me felt gross, very salesy, very in your face, like, let me take your money. And as an Irish Catholic, you don't talk about money, you don't do it. So my whole body just felt nasty. I walk into that event, and it was at a baseball tailgate at a baseball game, at the Phillies game. And I walk around, and I felt like a weight lifted off because I wasn't trying to sell anything. I wasn't trying to do anything except just meet with people. And so I took a step back, and I looked around. I'm like, what does everybody here have in common? All right, they're all networking. Cool. What's the problem? How can I help these people? And the reason why I thought that, because I used to be, again, a personal assistant, so I'm always trying to be of service, and I like that chaos. I like controlled chaos, and I found that to be a skill. So I walked up to somebody and I said, tell me more about who you are, what do you do? But tell me more about what sucks for you about networking? What do you hate? Well, I hate the follow-up. Okay, what about the follow-up? I hate how many times you have to do it. I hate the activity around it. Okay, go to the next person. What sucks for you about networking? I hate going to events by myself. I hate it. I'm an introvert. I have to be here because it's a Phillies game and I don't feel like I'm selling anything. Okay. Next person. What do you hate about, what sucks for you about networking? I hate finding events. I don't know who to go to, who I'm reaching out to. I really don't know who to connect with. Okay. So I walked again around and I started putting together pieces of, what do you think about this? What if somebody went with you? What if somebody found the events for you? What if somebody followed up for you? Oh my God, that would, and you could just see just their entire bodies just relax for a hot minute. And unbeknownst to me, a gentleman named Marty McDonald was watching me bullshit my way through all of these people to try to put in a semblance of service offerings together, just brainstorming. Now, he's an introvert. He works for a marketing company. And he comes over. He goes, hey, would you ever network for somebody at a book signing? I said, sure. He goes, okay, well, give me a call in 2 weeks, and we'll set something up. Okay. So in 2 weeks, I had liability insurance. I had a website, business cards, headshots, master services agreement, and literally everything that duct taped together to put an LLC together. And that was the first time in my adult career, in my woman career, that I felt like I didn't have to ask for anybody's permission. And that was the identifying moment that I could do something else. And so those 2 weeks, I was living off of coffee and air, but I made it work. And I put something together that, again, was duct taped together. The next day, or the 2 weeks later, I give the call back, and I say, hey, Marty, you know, be willing to help you. He goes, okay, great. Come, you know, this is 4 hours away. Come work for me for two hours and drive 4 hours back. And of course, absolutely. I think I was like $20 an hour at that time. I was doing, you know, promotional hourly wages. I go out there, I do my thing, network on his behalf, because he didn't want to talk to people. I'm good with people. And I gave all of those leads to his team. And then the world opened up. He gave me my first testimonial, and since then, I've had 2 digital talk shows. I get paid to speak at conferences. I'm an adjunct instructor at Temple University, and he introduced me to my first 6-figure client 2 months ago. And because of my network, and because of somebody believed in me when I was at my lowest, he has changed my life twice. And I have never exchanged any kind of transactional thing with him. He has watched me from the sidelines. And it turns out that the organization that hired me, after the first meeting with him, he goes, well, he talks to his number 2, whose name is Matt. And I find this out a couple months later. He goes, we're either going to buy her company or we're going to hire her full time. And that's what they did. So, with that being said, you are enough for the right people. That story is to allocate that you are enough for the right person. So when you are struggling with managers, when you're struggling with employees, when you're getting along with managers, when you're getting along with employees, when you know it's right, trust it. Because we are going to go through so many iterations of our lives and so many iterations of our confidence and imposter syndrome. And we do not have any more time for that. This world is at odds every day. There's so much going on. And if you cannot be exactly who you want to be, with the permission, here's your permission. Do it. Do the thing. Do the thing that you want to do. Be in the leadership position that you want. Reach out to that person you never thought would pick up the phone. Just do it. I'm like a Nike commercial. Jesus Christ. But do the thing. Do the thing. Because at the end of the day, when you build a network that will do that, you've won. And imagine you being able to do that for somebody else. Any questions? Enjoy the rest of the conference.